Hey guys, YouTuber Nerd here. Alright, now here I am to resume on with my Christmas reviews. And now I'm gonna start to get into like these into some theatrical films. Like so far I've really only reviewed like TV specials and like TV movies or direct video movies or stuff, but yeah, now I'm gonna start getting into the some theatrical films. Yeah, and now here I am with a review for Die Hard 2, Die Harder. Yeah. So yeah, like several years ago, I did review the original Die Hard. Yeah, because of course, like a lot of this is like people always say this is a Christmas movie, and yeah, it is. It takes place during Christmas, and yeah, it is a Christmas movie. Yeah, and I did like this one, and yeah, this one, the sequel, Die Hard 2. This one really is like really considered a Christmas movie as well. So yeah, so it really did seem appropriate to really uh talk about this one too. So yeah, so this is gonna be a review of Die Hard 2. And yeah, I thought that this movie it was good overall, yeah. I mean, yeah. The original Die Hard definitely did like much more than this one, but yeah, this one I still thought was good overall. Yeah, so yeah, the first two Die Hards, I guess they're like kind of comparable to the first two Home Alones because yeah, Home Alone 2 it really did have like a very similar story to the first film, and that is kind of the case here too. Like this film, this also does have a very similar plot to the first film as well because yeah, it basically is kind of like the same setup where it does really take place in just a single setting, and yeah, and it's just about just terrorists really like taking people hostage, and John McClane does have to save them. So yeah, yeah, so it is like very similar to the first one, and then after this, like the preceding Die Hard films, the films like the third, fourth, and the fifth one, which were was it Die Hard with a Vengeance? Live Free or Die Hard and A Good Day to Die Hard. Yeah, that was when like they were like trying different things, and uh it just yeah, it wasn't really the same as the first two films. So yeah, so really just yeah, the other three really are not really like Christmas related or anything, but yeah, these ones are because yeah, these really do take place during Christmas time. So yeah. So yeah, so for anybody wondering, no, I'm not gonna be talking about like the other three Die Hard films in any future Christmas reviews I may do in the future. Yeah, but this one, it was overall good. I mean, you know, yeah, like I said, I do like the first Die Hard more than this one, but still, I thought that this was a pretty good film. Yeah, it is like kind of like a little bit. Well, it is like kind of like a difficult to really kind of like keep up with this film because this film does have like quite a bit going on in it, and it just can get like kind of difficult to really like keep up with everything in this film. But still, yeah, it is a good film. Yeah. So for this film, it this film was released a couple years after the first film was, and yeah, and it even is set a couple years after the first film. Yeah, and in this film, you still do have like uh like Bruce Willis, of course, returning as a John McClane, and you also do have Bonnie Bedelia, yeah, sorry, Bonnie Bedelia returning as his wife Holly. And in this film, you also even do have William Atherton returning as Richard Thornburg or Dick Thornburg, whatever you want to call him. So yeah, so it does have like a few like a cast members reprising their roles from the first one, and yeah, and also you do have a Reginald Paul Johnson also returning as Sergeant Powell from the first film. So yeah, so you do have like those like few actors returning from the first film for this one, but yeah, but just about like all the other roles really are like completely different. Like there are like no other like characters from the first one really are back in this one. Yeah, yeah, and yeah, but this film it also does have like some changes from the first film. It is still set like in Christmas Eve, a couple years after the first film, like I said. But yeah, now John McClane, he's transferred from the New York Police Department to now he's working for the Los Angeles Police Department. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And similar to the first film, just like how in the first film, John was like flying into Los Angeles to spend Christmas with his wife and family. Family. In this film, John is like in like Virginia, like close to Washington D.C. He for like some sort of business or something, and then Holly is flying into town from Los Angeles to celebrate Christmas with John. But yeah, in this film, like there are some new terrorists, like, uh, like a former like special forces officer, and even like a Thornburg her is kind of like plotting like some plans to really like take people hostage and all this other stuff. Yeah, like I said, it is kind of like kind of hard to like keep up with everything that like goes on in this film because yeah, this film just has like a whole bunch of stuff going on, so it was hard to keep up with. So yeah, I apologize if like I'm not really able to go into like full like detail and depth of like everything that really does go on in this film. It just is kind of like a little challenging to really keep up with. Yeah, but yeah, you just have like all this stuff happening in here. Like there's like in this film, like John like just as he's like trying to save the people that are taken hostage by the terrorists, he like ends up like recruiting like a whole bunch of people to join up with him to help them take down the terrorists, like some army agents and the police and even like a janitor and some like other forces in this film as well. Yeah, yeah, and pretty much like throughout the whole film, he's pretty much just like trying to save his wife from these terrorists because yeah, well, as I said, his wife is like flying in, but yeah, like the terrorists and the like hijacking the plane that she's on. So pretty much for this entire film, the plane is just like up in the air flying, and just and due to like what is like going on, they're just like having a lot of like delays for their arrival. So yeah, so it is like really just like kind of all over the place. It's like with everything that's going on in this film, but overall, it is still a good film. Like I do overall like it. I mean, I haven't really watched like all of the Die Hard films, so I'm not really sure like how I would rank this one among the series. But yeah, like I said, just like with the following three films, they just really do try different things, and it just really like kind of like makes you like can make some people kind of like lose the not really like identify it or like lose like a lot of the identity that these first two films do have. So yeah, so as a follow up to the first film, I guess like it is like a worthy and a good follow up. So yeah, so I'm not really sure just what else to really say about it, but it is a good film overall. So I would probably give it around like 3.25 stars out of 4. Yeah, I guess I'll like land in that range for it. So yeah, it's a good film, and I guess it is at least worth a watch. I mean, it's not as good as the first film at all. Like the first one really did have like a lot more like memorable characters and scenes and lines and all that. Like you don't really like get really any of that from this film, but yeah, it is still like if you got like 2 hours to spare, it is worth a watch. Okay, so yeah, so I guess I'll just get right into the film. So as I said, like the film was set like 2 years after the what occurred in the first film. It's Christmas Eve in 1990, and yeah, as I said, like Holly is like flying into Virginia to spend Christmas with John, and then yeah, then it's like shown that like apparently like Thornburg has been like assigned and on the same plane to like sit across the aisle from her and stuff, and then yeah, and of course, like Thornburg, he did like expose like Holly's identity to Hans Gruber in the first film. So yeah, of course, like there was tension between them. Yeah, yeah. But then yeah, then as John was in Washington Dulles International Airport, he then like noticed like two men in army fatigues, kind of like acting very suspiciously, and tracked them into the baggage area. And then it turned out these were like part of the terrorists. And yeah, after a shootout, like one of them, who was identified as Oswald Cochran, ended up being shot, but the other was able to escape. But then, yeah, then after like some more research, like it was revealed that Cochrane was actually like believed to actually have been killed in action when he was serving in Honduras. And then yeah, John then like related the situation to the airport police captain, Carmine Lorenzo, who then just like ended up dismissing his concerns. Yeah, there's like yeah, yeah, the police captain. It was kind of like shows that like he kind of like had like some issues with John and really didn't want like any like anything to really like do with him or anything to relate to him or anything. So yeah, so there was kind of like some tension between the two of them. Yeah, but then it showed then like the a former Special Forces officer, Colonel William Stewart, and other former members of the unit like were able to establish a base in a church near Dulles, and they actually like managed to like hack the air traffic control system and to sever the communication with the planes and deactivated the runway lights, which now left like the left them like just powerless against to land any sort of a plane. Yeah, and then yeah, and then like they're what they were trying to do is rescue General Ramon Esperanza, who was like a drug lord and dictator of Valverde that was being extradited to the United States to stand trial on drug trafficking charges. And then their plan was to escape to another country in a Boeing 747 cargo plane in with Esperanza, but then they warned the airport controllers to try to restore the controls. Was, was yeah, was then yeah with them like trying to do what they were doing, and of course with Holly like on one of the planes that was like circling above Washington D.C. with like then like they had like too little fuel to be redirected. John then like prepared to go into action to fight against the terrorists. And then he even aligned himself with a janitor that he met Marvin to gain like even bigger access to the airport. Yeah, and then it also showed that like the communications director of the airport, Leslie Barnes, then and like went into like an unfinished antenna array with a SWAT team to reestablish communication. But yeah, they ended up like being ambushed by Stuart's henchmen, and they ended up like killing the entire SWAT team. But yeah, John was able to like rescue Barnes and kill all of the henchmen. Then yeah, but then yeah, Stewart then just ended up retaliating by recalibrating the instrument landing system and impersonated air traffic controls to crash a British jetliner that killed everybody. And he, yeah, and then yeah, and then another special forces team then led by Major Grant was called in to go into action against these terrorists, and yeah, then eventually like after like listening into a two-way radio call that one of Stuart's henchmen dropped, if John ended up finding out that Esperanza was behind all of it, and the captors were killed. Well, then he was now piloting the plane that was carrying them to Dulce, and the plane was now landing. But with some help from Marvin, John was able to actually get to the plane before Stuart Henchman was, and he was able to stop it. But yeah, he ended up like being trapped in the cockpit when the plane landed. And then yeah, then with John like seemingly trapped in the cockpit, the henchman then just threw in grenades aids into the cockpit to destroy John. But yeah, John was able to eject himself right before the grenades ended up detonating. Yeah, and then with the help of Barnes, John was able to find their hideout, and then yeah, they had Grant and his team raid the hideout, but yeah, the henchmen were able to escape on snowmobiles, but yeah, John was able to pursue them, and then he eventually like ended up after he stopped them, he discovered that like their guns were just loaded with blanks, and then it just concluded that like the special forces team are just subordinates for Stuart. Yeah, and then after John made a demand to Lorenzo to intercept the Boeing plane, and Lorenzo then just like refused to follow through with it. But then yeah, then yeah, John ended up firing at him with the blank gun, proving that he was telling the truth about everything to him. Yeah, yeah. Then Thornburg, after like being suspicious about what was going on, was monitoring in airport radio traffic, and he learned of the situation from a secret transmission. And then as he was trying to phone in like a take on what's happening, and like it just led to panic, and other officers were unable to reach the plane. But then Holly just was able to like subdue him with a stun gun, and yeah, yeah, it just like saw he just fell over and was just like his eyes were open, but he was just like absolutely unresponsive on the ground. Yeah. Then yeah, John was able to hitch a ride on the helicopter that, and then yeah, and the helicopter was able to like bring him right above the 747, and he was able to land on the wing. Yeah. And he was able to jam the inboard earlier on with his jacket, and was able to stop the plane from taking off. And as Grant tried to uh, fight with John, he ended up like being knocked off the wing and fell right into an engine, which killed him. And then yeah, but yeah, a steward was able to knock John off the plane and remove his jacket, but he didn't notice that yeah, the fuel hatch was open, and then yeah, John like just ignited the trail of fuel with his cigarette lighter, which led up to the jet and caused it to explode, killing everybody, including Esperanza and Stewart. And then yeah, then all the planes were then just used a fire trail to help them land, and then yeah, then it showed like all the passengers on the plane were rescued, and then yeah, and then it just showed then Holly and John embracing with each other, united for Christmas, and then yeah, then as they were tended to and just escorted away on a golf cart of some kind, yeah, and then it just ended with them like being driven off, and once again, just like the first film, it ended with "Let It Snow" as the credits started to roll, and that's how it ended. So so it was interesting to really like hear like "Let It Snow" play at the end again, kind of just another reminder to everybody that even though like uh yeah, even though like the film really doesn't isn't really like set around Christmas, it still does take place on Christmas during Christmas time. So yeah, that does make it a Christmas movie. So yeah, and even like before the movie went to credits, yeah, you even had like one of the officers just like telling John it's Christmas and ripping up a ticket that he gave him earlier on in the film. So yeah, a nice bookend there to have it like play with "Let It Snow" one more time. Yeah, yeah, and so that's the movie. So once again, I apologize if I was not really able to really go into like as much detail as you probably want me to, but yeah, it's just that it's kind of hard to keep up with because it's just like just there's all this stuff going on throughout the film. It's kind of like hard to really like keep up with everything that was going on, but overall, it is still a good film. So yeah, like I said, it's not as good as the first one, but if you have like 2 hours to spare, this is not a bad film to check out. Yeah, so I would give it a recommendation. Like I said, 3 star. E, 3.25 stars out of 4. Alright, so I guess that's all I can really say about it. Alright, so this does it for my review of Die Hard 2, Die Harder. So I hope you guys did enjoy this review. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.